Good morning. Today we'll start with fifth chapter, mass, Bernoulli's and energy equations. So this chapter deals with three equations commonly used in fluids: the mass, Bernoulli and energy equation. The mass equation is an expression of conservation of mass principle. The Bernoulli equation is concerned with conservation of kinetic, potential and flow energies of a fluid stream and their conservation to each other in regions of flow where net viscous forces are negligible and where other restrictive conditions apply. The energy equation is a statement of conservation of energy principle. In fluid mechanics, it is found convenient to separate mechanical energy from thermal energy and to consider the conservation of mechanical energy to thermal energy as a result of frictional effects as mechanical energy lost. Then the energy equation becomes the mechanical energy balance. You are familiar with the numerous conservation laws such as laws of conservation of mass, conservation of energy and conservation of momentum. So the conservation relations are also called balance equation, since any conserved quantity must balance during a process. So we will discuss it for the fixed quantity of matter and then we will go for the closed system or just a system. You can see here, this is your Pelton turbine, which is analyzed by applying the conservation of mass, momentum and energy principle. Conservation of mass. The conservation of mass relation flow is a closed system undergoing change is expressed as, so mass of system is equal to constant, or change of mass of system with respect to time is zero. It means mass is conserved, which is a statement of obvious that mass of a system remains constant during a process. For a control volume, mass balance is expressed in the date form as, so mass in minus mass out is equal to change in mass of control volume with respect to time, where m and m out are the total mass of mass flow rate into and out of the system, and dmcvt by dt is the rate of change of mass within the control volume boundaries. Conservation of momentum. The product of mass and velocity of a body is called linear momentum or just the momentum of body, and the momentum of a rigid body of mass m moving with velocity v is mv. Newton's second law states that the acceleration of a body is proportional to the net force acting on it and is inversely proportional to its mass, and that the rate of change of momentum of a body is equal to the net force acting on the body. Therefore, the momentum of a system remains constant when the net force acting on is zero, and thus momentum of such system is conserved. This is known as conservation of momentum principle. Conservation of energy. Energy can be transformed to or from a closed system by heat or work, and the conservation energy principle requires that the net energy transferred to or from a system during a process is equal to change in energy content of the system. Control volume involve energy transfer by mass flow also, and conservation energy principle, which is E in minus E out is equal to change in energy of control volume with respect to time. In fluid mechanics, we will consider only energy which is in the pure mechanical form. We don't consider thermal energy in this case fluid mechanics. The Bernoulli's equation. The Bernoulli's equation is an approximate relation between pressure, velocity and elevation, and is valid in regions of study in compressive flow where net frictional forces are negligible. Despite its simplicity, it has proven to be a very powerful tool in fluid mechanics. You can see here, this is your wing of a plane. The fluid is flowing around this. So Bernoulli's equation is valid here, but in this case Bernoulli's equation is not valid. Why? The key approximation in the derivation of a Bernoulli's equation is that viscous effects are negligible small compared to inertial, gravitational and pressure effects. Since all fluids have viscosity, there is no such thing as an inviscous fluid. This approximation cannot be valid for an entire flow field of practical interest. In other words, we cannot apply the Bernoulli's equation everywhere in a flow, no matter how small the fluid's viscosity. However, it turns out that the approximation is reasonable in certain regions of many practical flows. We refer to such regions as inviscous regions of flow, and we stress that they are not regions where the fluid itself is inviscous or frictionless, but rather they are regions where net viscous or frictional forces are negligible small compared to other forces acting on fluid particles. Acceleration of a fluid particle. So during steady flow, a fluid may accelerate in time at a given point, but it may accelerate in space. Often it is convenient to describe the motion of a particle in terms of its distance as along a streamline together with the radius of curvature along the streamline. The velocity of a particle is related to the distance by v is equal to ds by dt, which may be vary along the streamline. In two-dimensional flow, the acceleration can be decomposed into two components: streamwise acceleration as along the streamline and normal acceleration an in the direction normal to the streamline, which is given by an is equal to v square by r. So this is the normal acceleration to the streamline. So note that streamwise acceleration is due to change in speed along the streamline and normal acceleration is due to change in direction. For a particle that move along a straight path, normal acceleration is 0 since the radius of curvature is infinity and thus there is no change in direction. The Bernoulli results from a force balance along a streamline. So mathematically this can be expressed as follows. We take the velocity of a fluid particle to be a function of s and t. So v is a function of s and t. Now dividing both sides by dt. So after taking differential form, so this is differential form, del v by del s with ds and del v by del t with dt and divide by dt, you will get this equation. In steady flow, this component is 0. So velocity is a function of s. Because steady flow, time component will be, this component is 0. So your acceleration will become dv by dt is equal to del v by del s ds by dt. So where v is ds by dt, if we are following a fluid particle as it's move along a streamline, therefore acceleration in steady flow is due to change of velocity with time position. Derivation of Bernoulli's equation. So take the example here. Take this element. Pressure on this side say P. This is area dA. Pressure on this side of element is P plus dP, area dA. So due to this pressure difference, the fluid will flow. So this is steady flow along a streamline. So this is a streamline here. Weight of this element is W, which is acting downward. This is the angle is theta. Now conservation of linear momentum relation in fluid in s direction on particle moving along streamline gives. So if particle is moving in this direction on streamline, the conservation of linear momentum, that is Fs, sum of all the forces, is equal to mass into Ax. As is acceleration. Neglect the friction forces. The significant force acting in s direction are pressure and component of weight. So sum of all these forces must be equal to mass into acceleration, where acceleration is already calculated. So this is the acceleration. In case of steady flow, this is acceleration. So PdA minus P plus dP into dA minus weight, which will act downward, W sin theta, is equal to mass into acceleration. These two terms will cancel out. We are left with this equation here. Instead of W, that is the weight, you can write density into gravity into dA into ds, that is the weight of this element. dA ds into density into gravity, that is the weight of this element. Where sin theta is your dz by ds. So if this angle is theta, it means this angle is theta. The same will is this angle, which will be theta. So this element is ds, this one. This side is z, and in this direction, this is your dx. So you will get this equation. Cancel dA on both sides. You will get this equation. Minus dP minus rho g dz is equal to density volume into dV. You can write this vdV in this form. that is half of derivative of V square, you will get the same value. And you can divide these both sides by density, you will get this equation. Change in pressure with respect to density plus half dV square plus dz is equal to 0. Now integrate this equation. So integration you will get dP by density plus V square by 2 plus dz is equal to constant along a streamline. So since the last two terms are exact differential, in the case of incompressible flow, the first term also becomes exact differential and its integration gives P by density plus V square plus dz. So this is for incompressible case and this is for steady flow along a streamline in general case. So this is your Bernoulli's equation. Now these three terms in the Bernoulli's equation represent, this is your flow energy, this is your kinetic energy, and this is potential energy. And Bernoulli's equation states that the sum of kinetic, potential and flow energy of a fluid particle is constant along a streamline during steady flow. Steady incompressible flow, you can add this in this form. This is energy, total energy of the fluid on a streamline at one location equal to total energy of a fluid on streamline at location 2. The Bernoulli's equation is obtained from conservation of momentum for a fluid particle moving along a streamline. It can also be obtained from the first law of thermodynamics applied to steady flow system. Force balance across streamline. It is often as an exercise to show that a force balance in the direction n normal to the streamline yields the following relation applicable across the streamline for steady incompressible flow. P by density plus integration V square by R dn plus dz is equal to constant across streamlines. So in this case, if R tends to infinity, this relation reduces to P by rho plus dz is equal to constant. Or you can say pressure is equal to minus rho z plus constant, which is an expression for the variation of hydrostatic pressure with vertical distance for a stationary fluid body. Therefore, the variation of pressure with elevation in steady incompressible flow along a straight line is the same as that in stationary fluid. So on steady compressible flow, using both terms in acceleration expression, it can be shown that Bernoulli's equation for unsteady compressible flow is, so on steady compressible flow, the Bernoulli's equation become integral dP by density plus integral del V by del T ds plus V square by 2 plus dz is equal to constant. This is for unsteady compressible flow. Static, dynamic and stagnation pressure. The Bernoulli equation states the sum of flow, kinetic, potential energies of a fluid particle along a streamline is constant. Therefore, kinetic potential energies of a fluid can be converted to flow energy during flow, causing the pressure to change. This phenomena can be made visible by multiplying the Bernoulli equation by density. So you will get this form of the Bernoulli equation. Each term in the equation has a pressure units. This is the pressure unit. It is called static pressure. This is called dynamic pressure and this is called hydrostatic pressure. It represents, their P represents the actual thermodynamic pressure of the fluid. So this is the same as pressure used in thermodynamic property table, which is here shown in this diagram. You are taking example of a tube in which water is flowing and this is your piezometer which is used to measure the pressure. Second is your dynamic pressure. Now it represents the pressure rise when the fluid in motion is brought to a stop isotropically. So we had a pitted tube here. The fluid will enter into the tube and in that pitted tube the fluid will come to the rest. But because of the kinetic energy, the fluid level in this pitted tube will rise and this rise in level is the dynamic pressure as compared to the static pressure. So you can see here this rise in the tube is your dynamic pressure which is more than the static pressure. Then hydrostatic pressure, which is not pressure in the real sense since its value depends on reference level selected. It accounts for the elevation effects of fluid weight on pressure. So this is we use in case of hydraulic dams where the pressure is due to gravity effect, or you can say due to the weight of the fluid at the bottom surface of the dam. The stagnation pressure represents, which is P stagnation, the pressure at a point where the fluid is brought to complete stop isotropically. So means when fluid is flowing with some velocity, it will come to a stop. The pressure after stopping the fluid is called stagnation pressure. Now if you solve this equation, you will get this relation: velocity is equal to under root 2 stagnation pressure minus pressure of liquid divided by density. Now you can measure, it means you can measure the velocity if you know the stagnation pressure at this point, and if you know static pressure and density of the fluid, you can calculate the velocity of the fluid. So this concept is used in airplanes to measure the velocity of the flowing fluid. So this is a pitot tube, close up of a pitot tube static probe showing that stagnation pressure holes, and this is your stagnation pressure hole, and this is your static pressure hole. So a pitot tube is a small tube with its open end aligned into the flow so as to sense the full impact pressure of the flowing fluid. It measures the stagnation pressure. In situations in which the static and stagnation pressure of a flowing liquid are greater than atmospheric pressure, a vertical transparent tube called piezometer tube or simply a piezometer can be attached to the pressure tap and to the pitot tube. So you can also use a piezometer tube. So you can see here, this is your piezometer tube and this is your pitot tube. You can use separately to measure static pressure and your stagnation pressure. Sometimes it is convenient to integrate static pressure holes on a pitot tube. The result is a pitot static probe. So this is your pitot static probe where static pressure holes are integrated with this tube. When a stationary body is immersed in a flowing stream, the fluid is brought to a stop at the nose of body, the stagnation point. This is your stagnation point where your fluid head came to rest. The flow streamline that extends from the far upstream to the stagnation point is called stagnation streamline. So this is your stagnation streamline. For a two-dimensional flow in the xy plane, the stagnation point is actually a line parallel to z-axis, and the stagnation streamline is actually a surface that separates fluid that flows over the body from a fluid that flows under the body. In an incompressible flow, the fluid deaccelerates nearly isentropically from its free stream value to 0 at stagnation point, and the pressure at the stagnation point is thus the stagnation pressure. Limitation of use of Bernoulli's equation. Steady flow. The first limitation on the Bernoulli's equation is that it is applicable to steady flow. Therefore, it should not be used during the transient startup and shutdown periods or during periods of change in the flow conditions. Next is your friction flow. Every flow involves some friction, no matter how small, and frictional effects may or may not be negligible. The situation is complicated even more by the amount of error that can be tolerated. In general, frictional effects are negligible for short flow sections with large cross sections, especially at low flow speeds. Frictional effects are usually significant in long and narrow flow passages, in the wake region downstream of an object, and in diverging flow sections such as diffusers because of increased possibility of fluid separating from the walls in such geometries. Frictional effects are also significant near a solid surface, and thus Bernoulli's equation is usually applicable along a streamline in core region of the flow, but not along a streamline close to the surface. So sudden expansion, long and narrow tubes, flow through a wall, flow through a fan, heating section, and boundary layers. And you can see here in this profile, these are the wakes. So frictional effects and components that disturb the streamlined structure of flow in a flow section make the Bernoulli's equation invalid. So in these areas where the flow is disturbed and it is not steady flow, the Bernoulli's equation is not applicable. Or a component that disturbs the streamlined flow, there you can't use this Bernoulli's equation. Bernoulli's equation is valid where there is no shaft work. If there is a shaft work, such as in case of pump, turbine, fan or any other machine or impeller, these devices destroy the streamlines and carry out energy intersections with the fluid particles. When the flow section considered involves any of these devices, the energy equation should be used instead to count for the shaft work input or output. However, the Bernoulli's equation can still be applied to a flow section prior to or past a machine. Means after the pump work, when your flow becomes streamlined, then you can apply the Bernoulli's equation, means downstream of the device or upstream of the device you can apply. In compressible flow, one of the assumptions that used in the derivation of Bernoulli's equation is that density is constant and thus the flow is incompressible. This condition is satisfied by liquids and also by gases at Mach number less than 0.3. Since compressibility effects and thus density variation of gases are negligible at such relatively low velocity, you can see here 2 points 1 and 2. So Bernoulli's equation valid on this 1 and 2 both, because these are streamlines. But there is a constant of proportionality. So this constant of proportionality is different for different streamlines. When a region of flow is irrotational and thus there is no vorticity in the flow field, the value of constant C remains the same. If there is no vorticity and irrotational flow, the C will also same in that case. Bernoulli's equation is valid when there is no heat transfer, because density of a gas or fluid will change with the temperature. So Bernoulli's equation should not be used for flow sections that involve significant temperature change, such as heating or cooling sections. Hydraulic grade line, energy grade line, these are two concepts. So we had a Bernoulli's equation. So it is often convenient to represent the level of mechanical energy graphically using heights to facilitate visualization of the various terms of Bernoulli's equation. So this is done by dividing the Bernoulli's equation by G. So if you divide the Bernoulli's equation with G, you will get this here. Now each term here, P by rho G, has the unit of head, or you can say unit of meter. V square by 2G, it's having unit of meter. Z is having unit of meter. So P by rho G is pressure head. It represents the height of fluid column that produces the static pressure P. V square by 2G is velocity head. It represents the elevation needed for a fluid to reach the velocity V during frictionless free fall. And Z is your elevation head. It represents the potential energy of the fluid. So this is your pressure head, velocity head, elevation head, and this is your total head. So you can see this is reservoir, and to this reservoir, this is tube, this is diffuser, this tube is connected, and you can see here Petri tube is connected to this reservoir, this pipe at different locations. There are total 5 Petri tubes, and you can see here there are total 5 piezometers. Now this piezometer will show this level and Petri tube will show this level, means Petri tube will show your stagnation pressure. If Petri tube measures static plus dynamic pressure, so you can see when you connect this all lines, this pressure, this up to here, this point, when you connect you will get a hydraulic grade line, and when you connect these lines, means Petri tube level here, you will get a energy grade line. The energy grade line is obtained by doing this at several locations along the pipe and drawing a line through the liquid levels in Petri tubes. Noting that fluid also has elevation Z, unless the reference level is taken to be the center line of pipe. The HGL and EGL can be defined as follows. The line that represents sum of static pressure and elevation head, this is called hydraulic grade line. The line that represents total head of fluid is called energy grade line. The difference between the heights of EGL and HGL is equal to the dynamic head, which is V square by 2G. So we note the following about the HGL and EGL. For stationary bodies such as reservoirs or lakes, EGL and HGL coincide, means energy grade line and hydraulic grade line will coincide with the free surface of liquid. EGL is always a distance V square by 2G above HGL. You can see here, this is the EGL line in this case, this is HGL line. The difference is V square by 2. The height of HGL decrease as velocity increase. You can see as this component will increase, the HGL will decrease. The mechanical energy lost due to frictional effects, conversion to the thermal energy, causes EGL and HGL to slope downward in the direction of flow. The slope is a measure of head loss in the pipe. A steep jump occurs in EGL and HGL whenever mechanical energy is added to the fluid by a pump. For example, likewise the steep drop occurs in EGL and HGL whenever mechanical energy is removed from the fluid by a turbine. For example, as shown in figure, this is your pump, this is turbine. So pump will raise HGL and EGL of the fluid, while in case of turbine, the both component will decrease. The pressure of a fluid is zero at locations where HGL intersects the fluid. So in this diagram you can see this is your tank, this is your pipe. So this is your HGL line throughout the flow. You can see at this point pressure is zero because this HGL line intersects with the fluid. Above this line there is a negative pressure and again pressure is zero. So therefore an accurate drawing of a piping system and the HGL can be used to determine the regions where pressure in the pipe is negative, means below atmospheric. Means somewhere we have to avoid negative pressure in the pipe. So this remark is useful to avoid cavitation in the pumps. Means we can avoid situation in which the pressure drops below the vapor pressure of liquid. Proper consideration is necessary in the placement of a liquid pump to ensure that the suction side pressure does not fall too low, especially at elevated temperature where vapor pressure is higher than it is at low temperature. So in this case you can see EGL is continuously falling due to friction loss, and at the start here HGL will fall. At the starting they are equal, but HGL will fall due to conversion of the energy into kinetic energy. So HGL will fall. You can raise EGL and HGL line with the help of addition of a pump. With the help of pump you can raise the level of EGL and HGL. HGL can fall and rise. It can rise or fall, but it never can exceed EGL. In this section velocity of fluid is higher as compared to this section at 2 point. So difference between two lines, that is hydraulic grade line and EGL energy grade line, is larger at one section as compared to at section 2. So this is about the Bernoulli's equation and hydraulic grade line and energy grade line. Like this video, subscribe this channel, and thank you for watching this video.